I have welcomed you and let you know that this is our Outstanding Scholar Assembly. These assemblies are part of our scholars tradition. Outstanding Scholar Assembly started as soon as Scholars Academy was created 20 years ago. It is an opportunity for us to come together as a whole school and celebrate success, but more importantly, to also acknowledge our shared set of values. This is an assembly that is a tradition that has grown over time. We've always had the assemblies, but they have shifted, they have changed, they have evolved. And part of that, when you look at the different components of our assembly and all the different traditions we have here, it is a reflection of our school's culture. So I was at a principals conference this week on Tuesday with all of the principals in District 27. And the deputy superintendent introduced the topic that we would be discussing, which was culture, school culture. And I will say that I sit up pretty tall at that point because I am very, very proud of the culture that we have here at Scholars Academy. But it did make me think about that culture, where it comes from, and how we can continue to foster it and feed it as we are currently celebrating our 20th anniversary. But we want to make sure we continue to grow and stay strong for another 20 or more years. So the culture of a school is a deep set of values and traditions that are fostered over time. You can't create a culture in one day. A culture can also be described as the invisible curriculum that teaches every student how to learn, how to lead, and how to belong. So for each assembly, I'm speaking to a different grade band. So it's a little bit different. It applies to every single one of you, whether you're a 6th grader just starting out or a 12th grader getting ready to leave us and move on to your post-secondary journeys. But in front of me are our 9th and 10th graders. You are our underclassmen when it comes to the high school, but you are high school students in a 6 to 12. So we do have high expectations for you. We do expect you to be models within our community. And thinking about this invisible curriculum, I have to tell you that I think it is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, that Scholars Academy has to teach you. You will learn tons of content. Yes, we have a very rigorous academic program here. But what you will take with you, hopefully, is not so concrete. It is in the character that you develop. It's in the sense of identity that you create. Your self-confidence, your awareness of others, how you get along with others, and that's all part of our culture. And this is definitely an appropriate time to be speaking about this topic as we are celebrating our 20th anniversary. I want to thank our Parent-Teacher Association, who are critical to our school culture. This school was founded with parents. We couldn't have even begun if it were not for a very dedicated group of parents who believed in the vision and mission of Scholars Academy. And today's parents are helping to make sure that we can celebrate this milestone through the schoolyard celebration we had a few weeks ago in the yard, and with an upcoming event that we have at Romaview for parents, for alumni, for staff. That is all thanks to our partnership with the Parent-Teacher Association. I'm so grateful for our partnership with parents. I also want to tell you, as we celebrate our 20th anniversary and we think about our school culture, I'm going to give a little commercial and advertisement to our school newspaper, which is known as the Seaside Chronicle. The Seaside Chronicle has also evolved over time. We had newspapers when we first started. It has definitely grown, and what we have today is absolutely incredible. The first issue of the Seaside Chronicle for this year will be released, hopefully, tomorrow, latest Monday. And in that issue, which I got a chance to read because I am the principal, that was a perk, I got a sneak peek, it gives a history of our school's founding. It goes into some of the people that were critical to beginning the whole idea of Scholars Academy. And those were the visionaries. Dr. Cashin, who was the superintendent at the time, founding principal Brian O'Connell, who I realize only recently that most of you don't know because only the seniors had him as a principal. The years are going that I've been at the helm. And assistant principal Willis Perry. Those are the founding school leaders. But it was many more than them. Many staff members who are still here, many parents who helped start our athletics program, and the vision that they started has shaped our culture. So please make sure you read the Seaside Chronicle. They give a great timeline and history to how we got started. And now we're celebrating our milestone of 20 years, which is very exciting. We have so many achievements, academic achievements, athletic achievements, student leadership, community impact. We have truly evolved and strengthened over the last 20 years, and I am excited to continue to grow and strengthen. But there is one defining moment that occurred during that 20 years, almost at the middle point, right? Just about at the middle point of our history that is very relevant to talk about today. So that is the one defining moment that I'm going to use to reflect on as we speak about our charge values. Because when we talk about culture here at Scholars, we represent that deep set of values with the acronym CHARGE. And I want to assure you that CHARGE is not just a slogan, it is very real. And if you look for evidence of charge around you, I believe you will see it in each and every day. So as I give you some of the examples from my reflections, which are more focused on this defining event in our history, I urge you to look for the examples in your everyday. And I urge you also to share them with me, because I would love to hear from students' perspective how you see charge living in your day-to-day life here at Scholars Academy. So that defining moment is Hurricane Sandy. And I'm not sure if everyone was aware, but yesterday was the anniversary of Hurricane Sandy. That was the day that Hurricane Sandy hit 13 years ago. And that was most definitely a defining moment for our school. It was a time of, great devastation in our community. Our school was hit incredibly hard due to our location here, right on the beach between the bay and the ocean, with a sewage treatment plant right next door. The flooding here was very, very bad. The whole first floor was impacted. The stage here had to be replaced, the gym floor. Our entire music room was completely flooded, destroying all of our instruments. We were starting from nothing. We also had a theft where all of our technology was stolen. So we really were brought back to very, very humble beginnings. So as we were starting to grow as a school community, this storm came and really washed away a lot of the physical progress that we had made. But what makes it a defining moment in our history is that it didn't stop us, not even close. It made us stronger as a community. And I do realize with the ages, you might not remember it. Some of you remember it, some of you don't, depending on where you lived. But in the Rockaways, in this area, this storm greatly impacted the homes of the majority of our students. The vast majority of our students were no longer able to live in their homes. Lots of students had to be evacuated from their homes in the middle of the storm, from their attic or from their roof by boat or by canoe. Many families in this area, their houses burned to the ground. Everything was destroyed. So the school buildings destroyed, homes are destroyed for the majority of students and families in the area. Now, this impacted all of New York City, so schools were closed for a short time, but then we had to come back to school and we had to figure it out. So we were relocated temporarily at two schools in East New York, PS 13 and William Maxwell on Pennsylvania Avenue. As soon as our staff came back together and came back to work, everybody met, and all the teachers started immediately finding out, where are our students, where do they live, and arranged for buses to go pick them up wherever they were living with family all over Brooklyn, Queens, further, to get them to these schools where we would come back together in East New York for a temporary home. So it just paints the picture a little bit for you of what we were dealing with, and I want to just talk a little bit about that. Despite facing those tremendous obstacles, so much came out of it that helped define our school culture. So first, within charge, and I'm going out of order, but I know as high school students you can handle that, the R and the A, respect and amiability. These are maybe smaller items, but those small items can sometimes make a very big difference. Try to imagine how devastating that was for so many people But now, on the first day we come back together, and I know it was a big deal, I didn't mention this at the other assemblies, but there were metal detectors at the school at William Maxwell, and that was a big thing we were looking at. We wanted to greet our students and have them feel like they were coming home. Meanwhile, they had to take off belts and go through metal detectors. It wasn't really the way we wanted to welcome them back, but we had no choice. And despite that, everyone came back with big smiles on their faces. The friendliness, the kindness that was shown to one another, the relationships that were built among students, connections, and with the staff and the students who were hosting us as well. Smiling, saying good morning, noticing if someone looked sad or alone or not so happy. And it was something that was commented on by the staff that worked there. When we left, the dean that was there, who we actually formed quite a relationship, they were very, very helpful and amiable to us, giving us space. They moved out of the whole 5th floor so we could have classrooms all together in one location. They gave us use of the auditorium, would help us with setting up microphones or whatever we needed. And he told me on the day that we left, thank you, because you and your students had such an impact. Your staff, your students had such an impact on our school. Just from those smiles, from the respect, from the amiability, from those relationships. They are really important. The H for hard work. So this is a big one. And when we talk about our 20th year, this is a name that isn't included because she was not an official student leader, but she was a founding teacher, probably the most critical founding teacher, and I don't think anyone would argue. She's no longer with us. She has passed away, but her name was Ann Totis. And many of our older students and some of our staff members had the honor of having her as a teacher. And she had a quote that stays with all of us who knew her. Good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. From the day we opened, Scholars believed in hard work. Scholars believed in that commitment to excellence. And it is true whether you're focused on your grades, your sport, your artwork, seawolves honor effort, and persistence. And that drives us to our success. So we celebrate success, but recognize it's the hard work that gets us there. And when I reflect on Hurricane Sandy, it's another staff member at the time who we celebrated last Friday, Carrie Naples, who was a teacher at the time and passed away after a long battle with breast cancer. She was one of the people we celebrated with our Go Pink last week. And I remember her during Hurricane Sandy. She was our Algebra 2 high school teacher. And we didn't have enough classrooms. Maxwell was great to us, but we didn't have enough space for all our students. So she was teaching her Algebra 2 Regents class in a hallway right outside a set of elevators. So students are sitting right outside the elevators learning Algebra 2. It was a tremendously difficult situation, but talk about hard work and persistence. We almost couldn't believe it. The Algebra 2 scores shot up that year. Because despite all the challenges, those students were mostly not living at home. They didn't have heat, they didn't have hot water, but they dedicated themselves and they worked hard and they achieved success. And that is something that does resonate with me in that value of hard work. And that goes along with our G, having grit, having a growth mindset, but having grit, having resilience. And during Hurricane Sandy is actually when the term was coined by the founding principal and then principal, Brian O'Connell. So I told you about how everyone's living everywhere, but New York City provided a coach bus that would come to the school to pick up any students here and drive them to our location on Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, it wasn't too many students who took up that opportunity because there were very few people that were able to be living near here because of the devastation. But there were about, say, 15 to 20 students who were taking advantage of that bus, along with our principal, Mr. O'Connell, because he lived in this area and his house was destroyed too, and his car. So he was taking the bus to school with students. And there is a video of him telling the story, but I'll tell it. He got on the bus with the students that were there, and he asked everyone, who here has heat? And no one raised their hand. Who here has hot water? Not a single hand. Who here is ready to go to school? And the whole bus erupted in cheers. And that might be hard for you to believe. I know you might not want to go to school on a day-to-day basis now, but these students were desperate to go back to some sense of normalcy. And it does show that grit, that never give up. Having grit and growth mindset is critical. And the next two do go together. The E for empathy. There is no question to me that as a community, we learned empathy during Sandy. We were humbled by Sandy. Everything we had achieved, everything we had was wiped away, was washed away, but we recognized and learned through it that it didn't matter. The instruments, the floor, the fancy things, the building itself, it was not about that. It's about understanding and caring for others, having a culture of compassion and support. And during that time, we were cared for by others. We took in donations from everywhere. So many donations that it's one of the teachers that you have now, who was a senior at the time, who had to help go in and organize all the donations because they were coming in so quickly. And that senior volunteered and said, I want to put this together and make it a store. And he put it all together and started bringing students in to take what they needed. And we're talking about basic supplies like toothpaste, toothbrushes, blankets. Those were the supplies that were needed, and those were donated by good citizens. We also were adopted, so to speak, by an elementary school in Park Slope, who we had no connection with whatsoever. They actually donated the mascot that you see us using still to this day. So Sammy is actually, this Sammy is 13 years old now. Happy birthday to him. Because he was purchased right after Sandy and donated to us. And during Thanksgiving, that same school, all the parents in that community cooked us and served us a Thanksgiving meal for all students and all staff. That's empathy. That's recognizing when there is someone in need and stepping up and doing something about it. And it feeds into our culture of collaboration and, more importantly, community. We work together as students, staff, and families to support one another. And that was really what happened during Sandy. It strengthened our community through collaboration. So I did start by asking you, and I'll ask you again. Those are my reflections thinking about Sandy, which is so real right now as we're at the 13th anniversary. But I invite you all and challenge you to think about how you are seeing aspects of living and embodying charge principles and values in your day-to-day. I charge you with trying to do more to embody those principles. And I encourage you to please share with me any examples that you find. I really would like to hear them from your point of view. I'm challenging you as well to be culture builders, not just when you're here in the building, but anywhere you go. Okay, when you go to a game, when you go to another event, I want to make sure you know you are seawolves always, not just when you're in the building. So these are qualities we don't expect just here. We want you to strengthen them and take them with you when you leave. So thank you for your attention. I am very impressed with your behavior. Today we are celebrating 20 years and counting our culture of strength and unity. And even the 11th and 12th graders humored me now. I know that our 9th and 10th graders might groan a little bit, but I'm going to ask you to go along with me here. Ready? Let's close it out. See what? That was the worst one by far. Come on, we could do better. Ready? See what? A little better. One more. Little louder. Ready? See what? There we go. Thank you for humoring me. Congratulations on 20 years.